Organic Maple Syrup Company. The agenda for today's presentation will be as follows. We'll speak about the history, the products, the competition, the competitive advantage, their human resources strategy, and of course conclude with our topics. A little bit of history about the following company is the Organic Maple Syrup Company was founded in 2000. It was founded in a small town called Divide, New Brunswick. Gus and Sandra Hargrove are the founders and the current owners of the 120,000 sugar maple farm in New Brunswick. The average tap produces 2.5 pounds of syrup for the 6-week season. The farm produces 100% organic maple syrup at a premium price worldwide. Gus and Sandra currently have 6 full-time employees and 18 part-time employees to cover off a 24-hour shift during the peak season. A typical maple syrup season starts the end of February and continues till the end of March. The sap will flow when it's -5 degrees after the sun sets and +5 degrees as the sun starts to rise. Sap is turned into syrup at a 40-to-1 ratio. That means you're going to receive 40 parts of sap out of a tree, and it's going to turn into 1 part syrup. Sap is turned into syrup by boiling it continuously until a temperature of 106 degrees is reached. Maple syrup can be consumed at this point, and it is good for table syrup and for baking. If you wanted to cook it a little bit further to 108 degrees, you'll end up with maple candy or maple sugar, which can also be used in baking. Some of the products that organic maple syrup offers today is, of course, table syrup, maple candy, maple butter, maple sugar, and a maple cleanse. Maple cleanse is a very interesting product that's actually the last sap of the season to come out of the tree. It's used for homeopathic medicines and for organic food substitutes and to cleanse out your body, your liver, your colon, etc. The competition is fierce in Canada for maple syrup. There are currently 8,600 maple syrup businesses in Canada. 71% of the world's maple syrup comes from Canada, which is interesting enough. And 91% of the Canadian maple syrup actually comes from Quebec, which is a province within Canada. The remaining 9% comes from New Brunswick, Ontario, and Prince Edward Island. Canadian Pure, Buckwood, Canada's Best, Jake Vins, and Hudson Bay Company are a few competitors within this industry. Below are a few pictures of their logos and their brands that they're offering to date. A few fun facts about maple syrup. In 2012, the largest maple syrup theft occurred. Thieves made off with 6 million pounds of maple syrup with an estimated value of over $18 million. Because of this theft, a cartel was formed in Quebec to regulate the production, sale, and distribution of maple syrup after the theft occurred. The theft occurred in Quebec, and it was part of the Maple Syrup Reserve for all of North America. It has been stated that the maple syrup heist that led to the creation of the cartel and the regulations mimicked prohibition and left many people without syrup for over a year. Now, in Canada, if you're speaking about prohibition and the difficulties of not receiving alcohol and actually not receiving maple syrup for your pancakes or your toast, it goes hand in hand. May not be the same for other regions of the country, but it was a pretty serious theft and an issue in 2012 where we had to go without maple syrup for almost a calendar year. Now, there is some competitive advantage for having sugar maple trees. Maple syrup is produced from a sugar maple tree. You can get it from a silver maple tree as well, and there are a variety of maple trees, but sugar maple is going to produce the best tasting syrup for your needs. A tree will produce sap at the 10-year mark, but will provide a more quantity and a buttery taste after 15 years. So it is a large investment to put in a tree for 15 years before you receive any gains from your business. Canadian Organic Maple Syrup Company's competitive advantage is that they own 130,000 sugar maple trees on their farm. They also have 30,000 trees on reserve to replace old and dying trees as needed to make sure that they're optimal for their efficiency and continually meeting the needs of their customers. There are 191 maple syrup farms in New Brunswick. Gus and Sandra do own the largest and are certified organic, allowing them to charge a premium price for their product. By having their organization in New Brunswick, it's also very advantageous for them because they're able to save on labor and other overhead costs due to the lower cost of living in that province. If they were to make any improvements to their organization at all, I would suggest a few. Canadian Organic Maple Syrup could improve their organization by increasing their tree farm and taking away market share from other smaller organizations in New Brunswick. Given that there are 191 farms available and they only own one, however it is the largest, they could take market share away from other smaller competitors. They could expand their organization into another province with lower export fees and transportation costs. With New Brunswick being almost in the middle of the country, it does prove to be expensive to ship it from one end to the other. Also to export into the United States if they need to, or across the pond. They could choose a more lucrative province that was closer to a port or had access to better transportation allowances. They could hire an outside brokerage firm to do their international sales so they don't have to keep 2 permanent staff members on hand all year round, and possibly just secure those international orders prior to the season on an annual basis with a 5 or 10-year contract to lower the amount of salespeople required. They could utilize the 6 staff members that they already have to assist with the 6-week season and not just have 18 and not have to hire 18 part-time employees. They may only need 12 if everyone redesigned their jobs for the short season and was all hands on deck for that particular 6-week period. The human resource strategy that Gus and Sandra have, they have an optimal number of staff for their business needs. They run the company with themselves along with 2 sales associates, an administrator, and a financial manager to keep it lean and manageable. During the 6-week maple syrup season, they employ 18 people to collect the sap, boil the product down, package the product, and ship it out. Although the season is 6 weeks, the processing and shipment does take close to 4 months by the time it is complete, and it is a very lengthy, all-hands-on-deck process. The company also uses their social media to advertise when the product is available, when the season is about to start, when it's about to come to an end, and how much product they have left on hand. There is a website that offers quick ordering and shipping that goes internationally, which is very convenient to all of those people that are not near New Brunswick. And their international contacts actually offer repeat orders annually to make sure that they're getting their quantities that are required and that the farm knows that they need X amount to produce that year. So in conclusion, Canadian Organic Maple Syrup Company has found a market they can be competitive in, while keeping overhead costs low, employment retention high, and turn a financial profit for their company. They are running a successful organization for the last 20 years and have evolved with the times to ensure optimal output for syrup and maximum efficiency with staff. So in Canada, if you're having a choice between organic pure maple syrup or, say, an Aunt Jemima's table brand, always go for the organic pure maple syrup. It is an experience. There's a lot of love and labor that goes into every single bottle, and it's well worth the experience. Thank you.